So this is from 2024. This is an Oscar nominated film by director RaMell Ross. His first film. Before this, he's done some work in TV and primarily worked as a cinematographer. This is based on the book The Nickel Boys by author Colson Whitehead, who is a two-time Pulitzer Prize winning author. This book came out in 2019 and is based on a real place. Let me get into the sorry. Let me get into the movie itself.
Yeah.
The the Nickel Academy in the book is a place for juvenile delinquents in 1960s Jim Crow South. We meet a young boy named Elwood who lives in I think they're in Florida. Yeah, they're in Florida with his grandmother, played by Aunjanue Ellis-Taylor. He's a bright young man. He's very promising, does well in school, is well behaved, is very interested in civil rights, and he wants to go to the protests and march, and believes in a brighter future. One day he is walking from one place to another and accepts a ride from a stranger. They are subsequently pulled over, and it turns out it's a stolen car. And young Elwood is charged with Grand Theft Auto and shipped off to the Nickel Academy for reformed delinquent youth. When we get there, we discover it's kind of a terrible place. They're immediately segregated by race, and they of course get less than the white students there. There is lots of abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse, psychological abuse, sexual abuse. They are used as free and cheap labor there as well. They are told there is no getting out. Your lawyer won't get you out. The rules don't apply here. You can either age out, you can serve your time, which is probably several years, or you can die here and be buried in an anonymous grave. When Elwood gets to the Nickel Academy, he also meets he makes a friend in a man named Turner, or another boy named Turner, who they develop a friendship. They look out for each other. They kind of shield each other from harm as best they can. They have different views on the world. Elwood, he wants the rules to apply, wants the law to apply. He dreams of a better world, even in such a terrible place. Turner's a little bit more grounded and a little bit more pessimistic, a little more realistic. He's like, you're never getting out of here. We're going to either die in here, we're going to have to run away. Or this is a tough watch, but it's also uplifting in a lot of ways. Like I said, this was also nominated for Best Picture and Best Adapted Screenplay. So, Zach, what'd you think?
I like Nickel Boys. I like Nickel Boys a lot, actually. I think it's got really challenging themes. I really like the message. It makes me want to go check out the book. Most importantly, I really like what it offers in terms of cinematic language. Nickel Boys is shot entirely in first-person perspective, or at least single-point perspective. Occasionally it's behind somebody, but for the most part, it is basically shot from the eyes of Elwood. It takes some really clever, creative ideas and runs further with them in ways that I don't want to get into, because I think it's much more exciting to just be surprised by what happens in Nickel Boys and how it kind of explores that. But I love the way it immediately drops you into the body of a young black boy who is part of a system that he doesn't benefit from, and is obviously struggles in, and it's unfair and it's not right. And he's so soft. Elwood is such a softie, and he's such a sweet kid. And it is such a challenge to see these things happen to him through his eyes and feel that and see his hands and see the world through his eyes, literally. And that's a very clever interpretation. We talk about adaptation a lot on this show, because a lot of properties are adapted now. Video games are adapted into films, books are adapted into Netflix shows. Choosing to adapt Nickel Boys in this fashion is very clever. And for people like us who like bold cinema, it's a great watch. Unfortunately, it's really challenging theme-wise, and also it's a little over 2 hours, and it hurts the movie, because I would love to go tell my parents to check out Nickel Boys, but they're going to be weird about the single-point perspective. They're going to struggle with the themes, and it's going to be a struggle for them to get through the whole thing. And I wish it was a little bit tighter, or maybe that more accessible in a way that I think would reach people more, because for me it's a great watch. I just struggle to recommend it to people because it's tough, dude. It's like eating vegetables or something. It's good for you, but good Lord, it's hard, man.
Yeah, it's one of those movies that's fascinating to talk about after the fact a little bit. of a struggle to get through. Especially probably play better in a theater. I know it's hard to stay engaged that long because it is 2 hours 20 minutes. Could probably be a little bit shorter, but also an incredible first film, or yeah, for a film from a first time director to, like I said, nominated for best picture. Takes on really challenging themes and really strong performances, which is a good place to start. So Elwood is played by Ethan Herisse, he's the main character, has most of the screen time, but the like Zach was saying, it's in first person, and occasionally the camera is by Turner's perspective, and so Elwood is in the third person. But really strong performance from him, and a lot of really tough scenes. Same thing with why can't I find his name?
Brandon
The
Wilson
actor.
is Turner. Yeah,
Thank
yeah. I got
thank
you pulled
you.
up. I got IMDb up. You good?
I do too. I just can't find it.
Well, you're trying to host the show. Yeah, no, I respect that. Go ahead.
But yeah, they're both very strong in these two leads, and they have a very interesting friendship, and I think that's part of where these themes of kind of optimism in this terrible place, a little bit like it reminded me of things like the Shawshank Redemption, which is a kind of similar story of injustice and like hope in a very terrible situation. And we find that within their friendship. And like I said, they look out for each other when one of them gets an opportunity to maybe not do some work that's quite so hard, that sort of thing. They shield each other from not just the people that are in charge, but also some of the other inmates or other boys that are there, because it's like prison. It's a hierarchical thing. It's kind of like the toughest guy survives the most, and but it's a very kind of heartwarming thing in this really hard environment.
Yeah, one of my favorite themes in Nickel Boys is curiosity. Okay, I forget who reviewed it for the Roger Ebert site. I forget the name of the reviewer, but he said the camera in Nickel Boys is curious, and that makes it affecting. And it's true. The first 15 minutes of Nickel Boys are just kind of a series of interstitial shots in a child's life. You don't even really know who we are yet. Our character doesn't even really have a name. That you just kind of have to start to figure out who am I watching the world through, and you start to figure out that there's this character played by Aunjanue Ellis-Taylor who's hanging out and is very sweet. Okay, that's like a motherly figure to us, and there's a friend character. Okay, that's like a friend to us. You start to put together the world around Elwood, and it brings you in, and it's so much more affecting for it. This is especially important when we arrive at Nickel Academy, because at first it's like, okay, this is some kind of segregated school, and then you start to realize, oh, this place is like segregated and also real mean and real unkind and real hard, and the people here are not particularly friendly, which is what makes it so powerful when Elwood meets Turner, and they have this instant connection. And that leap in perspective is conveyed directly to us in our seats as like, oh, this is somebody of great value to this story. Like, this is going to be a connection. This is somebody we can rely on. And that's immediate. Like, it's kinetic and it's clever. Director RaMell Ross talked a little bit about this in some interviews. I don't have a lot of information about that, but I know he's talked about how difficult it was to shoot, and how it kind of pushes Ethan Herisse' Elwood back, because you don't really see a lot of his performance, and how they had to get this rig so they could have their hands up in front. Like, it's a lot more work than it feels. And it's movie magic because you kind of forget it. It all just kind of falls away as you get pulled into the world of Nickel Boys. Like, again, very bold cinematic language, like very clever, very inventive. I ended up being nominated for 2 Academy Awards. I wish I could tell you exactly what those Academy Awards are off the top of my head. I can't. But it deserves them. Like, I think what's happening here is clever and smart and genuine in a way that's really important. What surprised me is the length. It's a little over 2 hours. I got the runtime right here. It's 2 hours 20. And it's funny because Chris, my partner in crime, read the book last year. And I told her I'd watch Nickel Boys. She was like, oh, I read that book. It's not very thick. And I was like, really? Because the movie is sizable. Like, that's a little surprising to me.
Yeah.
But I think it's better than the sum of its parts. I really do. Even if it's a bit long, like, I do think it's a great watch. But also, it's got a lot of pain in it, which we should probably talk a little bit about. Like, it's a painful movie.
Yeah, this is one of the things I'd heard about it, and part of the reason I was a little apprehensive to watch it. I didn't seek it out when it was in theaters briefly, but when I saw that it was on Amazon, MGM, and I was like, well, like that's easy to watch it at home at least. But yeah, it deals, of course, we're in Jim Crow South in the 60s, so it's not a nice time. This place is terrible. There is lots of, like I said, physical abuse, both in terms of things like beatings, but also things like being starved, being kept in the elements, being put in a sweat box. Like I said, lots of extortion of their labor. They're forced to, build roads, dig ditches, pick fruit, do anything else, and they can, the administration is skimming off the top because they can offer much cheaper labor for projects, and it seems like there is no escape. The grandmother character, played by Aunjanue Ellis-Taylor, she pays money for a lawyer. That doesn't seem to go anywhere. She comes to visit him, Elwood, one time, and she's turned away. And they're like, "Oh, he's sick. Sorry, he can't come out. You have to go back." And she probably drove hundreds of miles to do that. And it seems like there is no escape from this place, and it is, like I said, similar to the Shawshank Redemption. It's real tough most of the way through.
Yeah, but I do want to turn it around a little bit before we wrap up the review. I do think it is more uplifting than dour. Like, I do ultimately think that the messages and themes here are meant to inspire. And I think Nickel Boys should be a part of the conversation when we talk about, powerful black films. Like, I think this has a totally unique fingerprint in a way that I have not seen before. I think I'm going to be thinking about this movie for a long time. And I'm really glad I watched it. Who do you recommend it to? That's the problem, right? Like, you're not just going to casually throw this on a Saturday morning on Amazon Prime. Well, I'll watch Nickel Boys while I do laundry. Like, no, this is heavy and this is powerful. So, with that in mind, Andy, would you recommend Nickel Boys?
I would, with a lot of caveats. First of all, extreme content warning that there's a lot of abuse in this film. It's about the segregation of the 60s, Jim Crow, things like that. So it's tough subject matter, but it is uplifting in a lot of ways because it is about finding that human connection, finding love, finding friendship, and using those things to survive. Incredible cinematography by first-time director RaMell Ross. I'm anxious or excited to see what he does next. So recommended, with content warning.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I think Nickel Boys is really cool. If you're looking for big ideas in cinema, if you want to see something that maybe got passed over a bit for the Academy Awards last year, like, check it out. It's a great watch. If you're looking for something casual, maybe not. Like, you need to. I think this film deserves some dedication to it a little bit. Like, it's a heavy theme that I think is worth exploring. And if you're into big bold cinema, it's great. If you like Tree of Life, Terrence Malick, great watch. Like, you'll probably really enjoy this. Very similar kind of jumps through time. Just some really clever things going on in Nickel Boys, and I'm glad we got to talk about it here on the show. A fantastic example of a film I probably would not have watched were we not doing this podcast. So shout out to Oscar Film Review. Keep it right here for more. And with that, we got to move on to our next segment. Going to look at a couple upcoming trailers this week. One in particular I'm very excited to talk about, but you're going to have to listen in for it. Andy, what do we call this segment?
It's time for the trailer park.